Well, it's very nice to meet you, Vinod.
So thank you so much for accepting my request for this interview. I try to do is to interview different people in different fields and try to extract how they have reached to whatever level they have reached. And I start from what they wanted to become when they were in high school, and then how the journey looked like. And then we touch on your goal setting process, time management, and finally a message to the audience. So it's a very fun interaction. Most of the time we just go organic based on the responses. We just dig deeper. But
that sounds great. I'm looking forward to it.
Want to start by giving you an opportunity to share about yourself, what you do, what your business. So anything that you want to share with the audience.
Yeah, that sounds great. So my name is George. I'm from the United States, actually, but 9.5 years ago, we moved to the developing country of Guatemala. So Guatemala is a tiny country. A lot of people don't know a lot about it, but it's very small. I'm from the state of Colorado, but Guatemala is 1/3 the size of Colorado. So it's a tiny country. We live in the mountains of Guatemala. We moved here as, as full-time missionaries, Christian missionaries. We moved here 9.5 years ago. We opened up a middle school for young boys. There was no middle school. We're the only middle school in the village. And so we've been here doing that. I think I've been on Twitter just over 10 months. And it's been a roller coaster. It's been a lot of fun. And so I actually do coaching on Twitter as well. So I coach people on how to grow their Twitter brand. But I also do a lot of coaching, kind of life coaching, strategy coaching for young men. And so just kind of helping young men that maybe didn't have father figures in their life. I help them just kind of get on track and maybe teach them some things that they didn't get from a father figure when they were growing up. Your prices are, or how people can one-on-one coaching or whatever you want to share. Yeah, so I do one-on-one coaching. I only have 5 clients at one time. Right now, I am full. But if anyone was interested, I am always willing to sit down for like just a 30-minute strategy session to kind of see, what they're looking for, and if that's something that I would be able to help them with, and then just the next available spot opens up. But my prices are $97 for just a one hour strategy. I'll do a 30-minute strategy for someone who's thinking about coaching for free, but a 1 hour strategy session is $100. And then it's the same. So a month is basically $397. And then, but the main package that I have is 3 months of coaching. I really feel like at 3 months, I've given them all of my wisdom. We set goals early on things that we want to accomplish, and we can usually accomplish most of those within 3 months. And then for the people who hire me for 3 months, they get a lifetime membership in our Discord group. And this Discord group is really just coaching clients that I've had, so they can get to know each other. They can, ask each other questions and kind of just really just encourage each other. But of course, I'm in there regularly, and I answer questions, and we're more of friends at that time. So yeah, that's kind of how the coaching works. I love when somebody has a business, but ultimately they are touching the life on a very deeper level, and that's what you're doing. Yeah, I love coaching, and it's to be able to help young men, especially. That's really my passion. So I love it. I saw your Instagram picture. You have a beautiful family. I think that was the caption for that picture. Yeah, just to tell you a little bit about that, I have 4 biological kids. My oldest is 30 years old, and my youngest biological is 18. But then we adopted just over 3 years ago, we adopted 4 kids here in Guatemala, siblings who were stuck in an orphanage and probably never, ever going to get out, because you can't split siblings when you adopt them here in Guatemala. And we were in a position to help them. And so they live with us. They're our kids. And after 3 years, it just feels normal and natural. We are actually in the process of adopting another sibling of theirs that we found recently. And hopefully in the next 3 months or so, we'll be able to welcome her into the family.
It seems like your mission is to help people, whether through coaching or adopting them or different ways. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. No, absolutely, it is. When we have the opportunity to help people and really just to heal the people around us, we take advantage of that. We love those opportunities.
Move to the next section. What you wanted to become when you was in high school?
When I was in high school, I had my two greatest, wants, I suppose, or the things that I wanted to be most. One is professional ski racer. I was in my school in Colorado. We had a ski team. So we had a football team, basketball team, but we also had a ski team. And we would get off every day and go train skiing. And it was amazing. And I loved it. And I just thought that I could be a professional skier. That didn't work out, obviously, but and then I think the next thing was just I loved photography. I still love photography, and I wanted to somehow get into that. And the only really avenue I found was through like the media, and maybe I did sports news photography for a while. I worked for a number of newspapers. I went to school and studied journalism, and so really that was kind of the direction that I was going. I was going to be at some point. I was really on track to probably get into news reporting. I'm really glad that I didn't, because I have some very strong opinions about the news media, but yeah, that's what I was going to do.
It's funny how life take us from we wanted to go and to where we are now. So from your first job to where you are, what that journey looked like? Wow.
So, out of school, I actually started selling real estate because that's where the money was. And I was an okay salesperson, but it was at that point that I started following. The first person I started following was Tony Robbins. And I'd never seen anybody like him. I'd never seen a motivational speaker like that. I felt like it was a motivational speaker, but he really taught me a lot about mindset. And that kind of got me on my journey to self-improvement. And really the biggest, catalyst to becoming who I am today, honestly, has been reading books and learning from all of these people that have written these books. And, I'm a big reader. So I love, Dr. Ben Hardy, James Clear, Atomic Habits, and all, so that's really where that started. So my first job was in real estate. I was there for a while. I eventually went into real estate development and managed a large project. And then from there, I just got tired of working a job and I was just getting burned out. So on the side, I just started this kind of side business of office cleaning. Started a business where we would clean office buildings. And eventually that income replaced my job. I worked another 6 months with kind of dual incomes. And then I had enough in savings that I was able to leave that. And so I was an entrepreneur. And after that, I started a carpet cleaning business. I had, probably half dozen to, anywhere from 6 to 10 employees at any given time. So they were very small companies, but, I was making a good living. I was, probably making $100,000 a year, but I was only working maybe 35 hours a week. And it was a really great life. Matter of fact, I would say the day that we decided to sell our businesses and move to Guatemala, we were probably having the best years. The last 2 years have been the best years of our life, business-wise. But we are Christians, and we just felt like we wanted to live what we believed. And what we believed was that to stand up for the poor and to help the widow and help the orphan, and to spread the good news and to spread the news about Jesus Christ. And so we sold everything. Literally within 7 months, we sold our home. We sold our 2 businesses, actually 3. We had another small business. We sold all the kids' toys, and within 7 months, we moved to Guatemala. And here we are. We've been here for 9.5 years.
So when you come here, at that time, with three businesses. Your mind was business oriented. You know how to get things done. You know how to execute an idea and make it happen. So when you moved there, initially, I'm sure it was completely different mindset. It was going there, finding the needs of the people and understanding with the culture, and then also I think later on you started middle school right there. So how the transition looked like for you, your family, and especially on the mindset side.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. When we got here, it was, I mean, I had to shift gears. I was going pretty fast in the United States. We were growing our businesses and things were running very smoothly. So to get rid of it all, to sell it all, move here to Guatemala, I had to downshift a couple of gears. And I downshifted to the point of I literally was reading my Bible every day and in prayer and studying Spanish. Like that's pretty much what I did for 6 more months. I was pretty dedicated to do that because we felt that we would be here longer term. And but eventually, we 6 months in, we started going out and seeing where it is that we could help and how we could best help. And yeah, once we found kind of our calling and realized that in order to kind of change a community, that you really need to dig deep into the foundations of education, and we really felt like this was the best route that we could go. And so we did that. And as it turns out, it's very interesting. It makes no sense, but 9 years in, a big part of my job is raising money to run this ministry. So we have built, $500,000 worth of structures. We have probably raised almost $1 million, or maybe just over $1 million. Well, yeah. So over $1 million in just, we've built houses, we've helped with medical needs. Just the list goes on. And so we've had to raise a lot of money, and my business background really has just made a world of difference to be able to go and just have conversations with people and kind of explain the need and raise money. Yeah.
So you was able to connect the spiritual and your aspirational skills together. You said you started Twitter about 10 months ago, and most of your clients, are they from US or all over different places?
So right now, my 5 clients I think I've got 3 in the US, 1 in Canada, and 1 in the UK. So they're they're all over. Yeah.
And when did you started this coaching?
Just a few months ago. Yeah, it's pretty new.
So once you started in Twitter, I guess after that you
absolutely. No. I actually didn't ever even think about coaching until I was growing my Twitter account, and as it grew, when you hit, I don't know, for me it was right around. I mean, I can tell you it was like right around 8,000 followers. Something clicked, something changed. All of a sudden, my DMs just started getting full, and I had people asking for advice, and it just kind of just organically happened that I coached a couple people for free, said, hey, let's hop on a call for 45 minutes and just kind of go through this. And that turned into a couple of paid clients, and it just has grown from there. And yeah, it's all because of Twitter, and I just absolutely love coaching. So
maybe we start from there. How did it occur to you to start Twitter?
Yeah, so it was 10 months ago, and I remember specifically, I had another account, and that account was really more about just kind of being a consumer. So it's just reading people's tweets. To be honest with you, I was following a lot of news channels, like different news pages. And I was also following a lot of like political stuff. And I was just trying to kind of keep up with what's going on in the election and just get a feel for what's going on. And it was just so negative and depressing. So I just deleted that channel and said, you know what, I'm going to try, because I was on that channel, I found Money Twitter, which is kind of this, self-improvement, how to start a side business, and how to just be a better person side of Twitter. And so once I got rid of the other page it was March 9th of this last year, 2021, my son had moved to the States. He was in a gap year, and I said, hey, let's start a Twitter page. You start yours, I'll start mine, and we could just kind of, do it together. And it was an opportunity for me to spend time with my son ultimately. But I also, to be honest, I also thought if he followed some of these guys that I had met on Twitter, I thought that they would be a good influence on him as far as like making money and starting a side business and things like that. So that was the reason. That's how I got started 10 months ago. And it just, I've spent, I think, almost every day on Twitter, at least posting at least once a day for 10 months. And here I am. I just, it's been amazing.
Been writing on Medium for last 3 years. And before that, I have created a lot of blogs, a lot of website, different ideas. And I figure that my problem is I was running after the shiny object. My core aspiration was in writing. My primary language is Hindi. Secondary language is English. So initially 3 years ago, anytime I was trying to publish something, I had this big hesitation that what's going to happen if somebody read it? There are so many grammatical mistakes, so many English, just general mistakes. So somebody in my office volunteered her name is Cassie, and she volunteered to help me review my content, and that gave me tremendous motivation and confidence. So after that, I started writing, and then there were so many things came up. I think there is another platform like Voice or something, and then my own website. And I said, no, I'm not gonna be distracted. I just gonna focus on one platform. I will try to improve my writing skills. And like in past, I was too much on the technology side, WordPress, all these fancy names. Said, no, I'm gonna just stick to this one platform and improve my writing. And now, after 3 years, I felt like now is the time to expand myself. I started my YouTube channel about 5 months ago, and now this past Saturday or Sunday, I started exploring this. And then I joined a space that I think you was conducting, or you was one of the speaker or host, and you suggested following a couple of people, and I did. And that completely changed my Twitter. And I started seeing all these influential people, including you, who are talking about writing and different other things that I have never seen in Twitter. I didn't even know this thread thing.
Yeah.
And it is so powerful. And I started writing. I think so far I have wrote 2, and that thread is helping me think. So you write one block, and then second block, and you third block, and so powerful that you can. Otherwise, when you write a big article in Medium, I had to change the outline multiple times.
Absolutely.
So that's how I started. That's why I did not touch Twitter for last 3 years. Now I felt like, and I think it's good that I waited. Now I have 155 stories that I can convert into Twitter feeds. Wow.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I think anybody that's thinking about Twitter, I think the most important thing to remember about Twitter, it'll take you down whatever rabbit hole you decide. So I was on the political, news whatever. I was on that side, and it was just very negative, and it just was depressing. And so I had to literally stop that account. But if you go to Twitter and you follow even just 10 people that are encouraging, or let's say you're into crypto and you just follow like 10 crypto people, Twitter will continue to feed you things that you're interested in. So you have to be very careful about who you follow, because Twitter's algorithm is going to be feeding you what you're asking it for. So it's just really important to keep the people that you follow, keep them in the area that you want to be, that you're interested in. So a lot of people, they try to use the follow for follow that like Instagram does, where it's like, hey, if you follow me, I'll follow you. And it's a really bad way to do it, because if you're following people that you're not really interested in, or people that are not interesting or not the right niche, Twitter's going to feed you the wrong stuff. So that's just, I would recommend stick with 10 good accounts and grow from there.
Your writing experience, before you started using Twitter, were you using you writing at another platform or some other places?
So because we're missionaries, at some point, in order to help raise money to get some of the things that we wanted to get done, we had to tell what we're doing here. And a lot of missionaries will send out like a newsletter twice a year, or, we committed to sending a newsletter out once a month, which is really obviously not very much. But we also, I studied writing, and I wanted to be more of a storyteller rather than a news reporter. So a lot of missionaries, or people that are doing that type of work, they'll send an update and they'll say, hey, we did all these, list 10 things that they did, and then we did these 10 things, and this is what my family's doing. And that is just incredibly boring to read. So the writing that I learned eventually how to do is really just about telling stories. People, I think human beings are just really storytellers. They resonate with storytelling. So I think that over the last 9.5 years that we've been here in Guatemala, I have learned how to do that. But fast forward to that first account that I had, I actually was part of a group called Ship 30 for 30. Once you're on Twitter a while, you'll start to see them around. And basically all it is it's a group of people that are keeping each other accountable to writing 250 word essays every single day for 30 days. That's the whole idea. Now, once a week, there's a Zoom meeting and they do some amazing teaching. And so there's a lot of value there, but you pay to do that. I was in the very first one. It was $100. And I thought, I'll try it. I ended up, instead of writing 30 days, I ended up writing 90 days in a row. And I wrote 90 days of basically Facebook posts, but I posted them on Twitter for our ministry. Like that's what I was doing. So that's kind of what really got the ball rolling. I think that writing is truly a superpower. If you want to create an additional income outside of your job or another source of income, I think writing is where it's at. There's just so many opportunities in writing. And so you can go to Medium, and I know that you can make money on Medium. And I actually wrote on Medium for a very short period of time, and it's changed from the early days, and I think it's harder to get traction. I know they're trying to change some things. I have started a number of Facebook pages and written there, and I've got some traction. I did fairly well, but again, it does take time. And I think monetizing your writing, because if somebody wants to start another stream of income, they want to make more money. And I personally just think that, we have a large Instagram page. I say large, but it's like 10,000 followers, 9,000 followers that we couldn't monetize to save our lives. Like it was just really, telling about what we were doing, but we never monetized it. And Facebook, same thing. But on Twitter, it is very possible to monetize, and you can actually make money with writing on Twitter. And so I'm a big, big believer. I love to write. I love to study writing. I love threads. And I think there's a lot of opportunity on Twitter.
Yep. And I remember what you were saying in that space, that Twitter, writing on Twitter, inherently not going to give you money, but you create your influence, you share your knowledge, open-hearted, and then you build a relationship, and that's when you will start selling either affiliate or courses or your own, like in your case, coaching. So.
Yeah, there's crazy things like you can be a ghostwriter. You can be a ghostwriter for a book, and grow an audience or a community around that, or you can be a ghostwriter for Twitter. So literally, there are tons of opportunities or people who want to have a Twitter presence, but they don't know how to write tweets, and they don't want to write tweets, and they don't have the time to write tweets, but they want to have that presence. And so there are literally like thousands of people out there right now, influencers in real life, specifically authors, or actors, or people like that have money, but they want to have a Twitter presence, but they just don't do it. And so you just takes a matter of time of reaching out, and they pay you to tweet for them. And you learn their voice, and you learn what they would like to tweet, and that's part of the program. So ghostwriting for Twitter is a possibility. Copywriting, learning copywriting and copywriting for businesses on Twitter is a possibility. I think that newsletters, Polina Marinova she has a free newsletter. She has tens of thousands of subscribers. She started this from home. She started this newsletter that she sent out. It's called The Profile. She would send it out to her mom and her sisters and friends. And then it grew to tens of thousands of people. It's a free newsletter. But from there, she has kind of an upgrade, if you will. And she's got thousands of people that pay her $10 a month for her upgraded newsletter. That's insane. Like, think about that. I mean, thousands of people paying you, $10 a month. It really is a lot of money. Her husband, Anthony Pompliano, he has same thing, but there's just, as a creator, really, and as a writer, there's so much opportunity, and I feel bad because I think a lot of people are just really sleeping on this. They just don't know it's available. And anybody, listen, I'm 55 years old. If I can do it, anybody can do it. So,
I want to add one advice, and again, this is coming from my personal experience. I started my first blog around 2006, and then I've been writing since then. Again, until before 3 years, it was all hush posh. Whatever I wanted to write. My advice is, there were time when I think it was around 2012 or 15 or something, where I was really getting into, and then I started reading all these blog posts or advices that were saying for affiliate market, if you're writing, you should do affiliate marketing. And if you're doing affiliate marketing, you don't even need a page, you don't even need a blog, you just need this. So I started following that, and it completely killed the momentum, because my heart was into writing, and this all advice was how to make money and how to do this affiliate thing and all that. Don't follow that. If you like writing, you first probably need to write for a year on whatever topic. Don't even think about the niche. Niche was another killer, another motivation and the interest killer, because you started thinking about niche without even having any foundational work done. So if you like writing, then just write on any topic, and then in 6 months, 1 year, you started finding what you are liking, what you like to write, and then also where the response is coming from, right? And then you tweak, and then you start narrowing, and that's when you probably start adding your affiliate as well. I have multiple articles which is doing really, really good, and I have added affiliate link there to the book that I have already suggested. But it was after the fact. I went back to those articles and added the affiliate link. I did not write those articles because I wanted to do the affiliate marketing.
I think to a couple of those points. First of all, I agree with you completely. I think that if you want to write. I think that don't worry about, and what I always teach people is just don't worry about monetizing right away. What you want to do is build your audience. So the one tweak I would say is, and this is massive. I wrote on Medium, I wrote on a blog, I've written on other platforms like Instagram and on Facebook. But here's the thing with Twitter is it is like direct response. In other words, you can find out what resonates with people immediately, like literally every single day. They will basically tell you whether or not that's what they want to read or not, by how often whether they like it or not. The problem with blogs is, you and I know, okay, you might get a few comments, you might get a few emails back or whatever, but the reality is we don't get enough response to give us good feedback. And so that's the great thing. The thing that I love most about Twitter is you get immediate feedback, so you can start to narrow in on what it is, what do people like, and whether or not you like it. So that's number one. And then to your second point, definitely don't worry about a niche. When I started, I thought I was going to write about this and started moving to this and this. And it wasn't until I reached 8,000, I don't even know, how long ago that was, but it was at that point that it was literally like lightning. I replied to someone and I said, I tweet everything that your dad should have said, but didn't. And it just hit like lightning. I'm like, that's exactly who I am. And so ever since then, my growth has skyrocketed because I knew who I was. I knew my voice and I was focused, and my audience knows what to expect from me. So I think that it's important if you want to write, I think if you want to become a creator. Now, if you want to just write for yourself, I think that's great. That's a whole other story. Then go ahead and blog. But if you want to actually, get feedback, immediate feedback from an audience, I would recommend going onto social media, specifically Twitter, because you just get it immediately. They'll tell you. I want to just throw out, I'm a big reader. And I think if you want to be a writer, you probably want to read a lot. But the book I would recommend every creator, but specifically writers, to read is called Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. And I read that book at least once a year. I have read it 3 times in 1 year before. It is just phenomenal. It basically, one of the big ideas of the book is you decide if you want to be a writer. Write. Nobody's going to come and give you a card that says you're a writer. And so if you're a writer and you want to write, go ahead and start writing. And you can tell people, I'm a writer. You're writing. It's okay. You don't need any more permission than that. And I love that.
As we're talking about that topic, there is another book that I have heard a lot about is Show Your Work. And I'm sure you might have already read it.
No, I haven't heard of that. That's interesting. I'll definitely look that up.
The theme of the book is as you do anything, you document, and then you kind of keep documenting, and then you keep showing to other people in terms of article or writing or whatever it is.
Love it. Like, that's just genius. I see that all the time on Twitter, where people they're showing the process, they're showing their growth, they're showing what works, what doesn't work. People love to watch that. We're kind of all voyeurs at heart, and we kind of like to watch people, it's like, are they going to crash, or is this going to work? And so I love that idea. I'll definitely look that book up.
I want to move to the next segment, which is the goal setting. How you set your personal and professional goals.
Yeah, so I'm pretty basic. I actually don't do any kind of New Year's resolutions. I don't do, I'm like a lot of people, and I have done it before, but a lot of people say, have 10-year, 5-year, 1 year, 1 month, 1 week goals. I personally just work with one basically time frame. And that is by quarter. So I have my Q1 goals. I can tell you what I'm doing between now and the end of March. And then I'll readjust when I get to March. Because what I like to do is I like to take a look, okay, what worked? It's just kind of a quicker, a more often evaluation of what you're doing. And so, I have, of course, ministry goals. I have business, which is really just Twitter goals. I have personal goals, which includes my family and my faith. Health goals is also in there, and that's a big one, but that's in there. And so I basically just do it by quarter. I will say that I do have like a list of things that I want. If there are things that I want to get done or accomplish or do within the year, I will list those. And as soon as I can, I like to put those on the calendar. But as far as like, business and personal type goals, it's really just quarter to quarter. I really like just quicker feedback. And, it's basically every day, I am taking a look at my list of priorities. I usually have around 10 priorities. I pick 3 at a time and I tackle the top 3. And from those 3, I find out what is my frog, what's the most important one. I do that one first. What I like my daily work habit is I really like to work 4 hours a day, but 4 focused hours a day on kind of business things. So that leaves the rest of the day for ministry and for personal. And so I work in 50-minute increments, and I do 4 of them. And I just am focused. I close all my tabs. I have one thing that I'm working on for that 50 minutes. And I just keep super focused. And I only have 3 items that I'm working on at a time on my desk, but at every session is a separate thing that I'm working on. I don't know if that makes sense.
Does. Pomodoro technique.
Yeah, I think so. There's 2 different types of Pomodoro techniques. One is, I think, like a 20-minute one, and the other one is 50 minutes. I think when I take my breaks, my 10-minute break, I go outside, I sit in the sun, and I either meditate or spend time with my wife. But I try to get out into the sun, get some vitamin D, try to set my internal clock so that I can get enough sleep, and that kind of just starts my circadian rhythm going, and just kind of prepares me for the next day. So,
and you able to kind of follow this religiously every day?
I do my best. I would say probably 50% of the time it doesn't work out that way. Literally, I mean, it feels like when you run a ministry, my priority is my family and my ministry. So that all comes before any kind of business that I do. And so I try to put my business for the first 4 hours of the day, because inevitably something comes up in the ministry. And so probably 2 to 3 days out of the week, I get sidetracked and I'm not able to complete my full 4 hours. But I try to always get it done first when I'm the freshest, because, just things come up. It generally, 50% of the time I don't get to. But you have to have a goal. You have to have, a direction.
Right.
And so,
so you have your focus area throughout the day is your family, then you have church ministry, then you have middle school, and then you have the coaching, and then Twitter. So it's a lot. How you divide the time between them?
Yeah, it is a lot. I try to put the Twitter and, the coaching, I consider the same thing. So I try to do those at the same, my coaching is literally only 5 hours per week. I only have 5 clients at any one given time. So it's 5 hours a week. And outside of that, I do some texting. So it might be another couple of hours throughout the week, but it's really pretty minimal. So the rest of the time is just building my audience, growing on Twitter, to grow to 20,000. I don't know where I'll be at 1 year. I'm, where are we?
18th.
Yeah. So February 9th. So I've got just over a month. I'm probably going to be near just over 20,000, maybe 21,000 in 1 year. And if you want to grow to that size, you can. There's no reason that you can't be making, $2,000 to $5,000 a month when you're at that level. But you have to be focused and you have to do it. And so I do make that a focus, and I try to get that done first thing in the morning. So the first 4 hours, that's what I'm doing. And so really it's mostly Twitter, and then sometimes coaching. The coaching, like I've got 3 clients out of 1 day. So that's 3 hours in 1 day, but the rest of the week is pretty open.
So when you were saying that those 4 50-minute sessions, those was actually for the Twitter.
Yeah. So those will be for, so it's divided in all kinds of different ways. But for example, this morning I was working on my landing page for my coaching business. And so I was literally reviewing and making the final edits to the landing page, which will be launching any day. And then the next hour was writing tweets. I'm going to New York next week. We're spending a week in New York. And so it's beginning to write tweets for next week. And so that would be the next 50 minutes. And so the next 50 minutes might be, it generally is going to be within the business of Twitter and coaching. So it might be preparing coaching for, somebody that I'm going to be talking to later in the day or something like that.
In Twitter, can you schedule these tweets for next week?
So there are applications, or I don't know, service providers that do that. So I am the one that I use is Tweet Hunter, and so I can just go in and schedule it. So I'll schedule all of while I'm gone. I'll schedule the whole week, and just I only tweet 4 times a day. So a lot of people tweet a lot more than that, but if I do 4 a day. I just set them up and.
In last 1 week, I've seen one day, which when I was active, I feel like by the end of the day, I said, I don't know if I can handle that. I have a full-time job, and this is everything else is all my part-time. I wake up every day 4 o'clock, and from 4 to 7, that's when I do all my, and sometime in the evening.
Yeah, I think, when you're growing, let me just encourage you that, because you're very new to Twitter, I would encourage anybody that's new, until you hit 1,000, only tweet 1 time a day. Because if you're tweeting more than that, first of all, nobody is hearing you. There's nobody listening to you. You're not going into the Twitterverse. Literally nobody is hearing your tweets. So you're tweeting 1 time a day actually you write between 5 and 10 tweets, and you choose 1 to post. You choose your best one. So you're practicing by writing 5 to 10. And if you've got a full-time job, maybe you write 5, you pick your best one, and you tweet that tweet. Like, that's it. And then if you want to grow your Twitter page, the other thing that I would recommend is going to bigger accounts that are in the similar niche as you, or in there maybe, have 50,000 or 20,000 or 100,000 followers, and turn on the notifications. So when they tweet something, what you'll do is you'll go in and make a comment on that tweet, because now you're getting in front of all of their audience. It's kind of like you're guest posting on a newsletter. I did that yesterday. I think this person had 100,000 followers. I've got 20,000. He posted something, and I picked up 150 followers because of what I posted. It got like 13 or 1,400 likes, my comment. So that doesn't happen very often, but that happened yesterday. And you can that's how you can grow. That's the only way you can grow in the beginning. And so what happens is, think about this. So you make a comment and they're like, wow, that's a great comment. As a matter of fact, the analytics show that over 500 people went to my bio and they decided if they were going to follow me or not, and 150 followed me. So you want to have, when they go to your bio, you want to have a clean bio. You want people to know what they're going to get. But more importantly is you want to have good tweets. So if you're posting, it doesn't matter how many likes you got. If they go to your timeline and they look at your tweets and they're like, oh, that's a good tweet. That's a good tweet. I'm going to follow this guy. It doesn't matter how many followers you have. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
I want to make a comment. You get 150 follower in 1 day. That's 3 times my total followers. I'm 54.
That tweet that you shared, did you share a thread of mine recently? That thread, thank you, by the way, that thread, I picked up 2,500 followers in 2.5 days. So you can, I just talked to a guy today, somebody who I did just a one-time coaching with earlier today, just like an hour ago. And he's right now at like 25 followers a day, which is, that's not bad, but he's at like 6,000 or 7,000. And the thing about it is, like, I would rather grow at 100 a day than 25. So you just have to look for ways to optimize and to get more followers.
In this 1 week, my experience is when I posted my own story or my own thread, there may be one like, one comment. But when I retweeted somebody's, or if I have tagged somebody and appreciated somebody, those got me followers as well as comments. And so how I'm feeling in my first week, that if you go and help other people, be part of the conversation, you get more traction versus just standing there and trying to write your own.
Yeah, it's if you just stand there and write your own stuff, you will never grow. I'm just telling you, it's just not going to happen.
That's I know what I'm experiencing. Yeah. So
yeah,
I just noticed we are 9:01.
We're going to just jump to the last section, which is
perfect.
Your message to the audience.
Wow, a message. If I could leave a message, I think it would be kind of what my mantra was, or what I thought about pretty much all the time last year. And it was kind of two parts. And that one part was to be more self-aware, be aware to be self-aware. So just remind yourself to be self-aware of your marriage, of your work habits, of your health habits. Like, start paying attention to what you're doing. So be more self-aware. That's the first part. But the second part is to be intentional. So if you notice that because you're more self-aware and you start noticing, listen, I'm not eating well and I feel awful, then you have to be intentional to change that and to make a change in your life. And so if you are not happy in your marriage, you need to be honest with yourself and be self-aware that, wait a minute, I'm not happy in this marriage. And if I keep going down this road, I'm going to live a miserable life. And then you need to be intentional, and you need to say, okay, well, I'm not happy in my marriage. So the first step is maybe to express that to your wife. And then from there, it might be reading a book. It might be watching some videos, or it might be getting counseling, or it might just be by being aware that you're not happy in your marriage. Honestly, is just making a decision to love your wife more deeply. But what happens is that I think most people just live their lives without self-awareness, and they wake up one day and they're old and they don't love their wife, and their kids don't want to spend time with them, and they're fat. And it's all their own fault. It's because they're just not paying attention. So we all have that opportunity. I highly recommend meditating and just being able to harness the power of our minds and to be more self-aware. So I guess that would be my message to everyone. It helped me tremendously in 2021.
George, it was nice talking to you. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. I really appreciate your inviting me. Thank you.